As a female college student working the night shift at a restaurant near a bustling casino in Las Vegas, I had my fair share of interesting encounters with customers. However, one incident that left me shaken and fearful was the stalking by a middle-aged man that occurred over a few weeks. It started innocently enough, with a man in his late 40s visiting the restaurant frequently during my shifts. He would sit at the bar and strike up conversations with me whenever I approached to take his order. At first, I thought he was just being friendly, but his behavior soon turned unsettling. He began to linger at the bar for hours, watching me intently as I moved around the restaurant. He would make inappropriate comments, complimenting my appearance in a way that made me uncomfortable. I tried to keep my distance and remain professional, but his persistent presence and unwanted attention left me feeling increasingly uneasy. One night, as I was leaving my shift and walking to my car in the parking lot, I noticed the man waiting near my car. My heart skipped a beat, and I felt a surge of fear. I tried to ignore him and quickly unlocked my car, but he approached me, blocking my way. He started making lewd comments, and I told him firmly to back off. He ignored my protests and continued to invade my personal space. I felt vulnerable and trapped, unsure of how to handle the situation. I tried to maintain my composure, but my anxiety skyrocketed. Thankfully, a security guard from the casino noticed the altercation and intervened. He asked the man to leave and escorted me to my car. I was grateful for the security guard's presence, but I couldn't shake off the fear and unease that had settled in. Despite the security guard's intervention, the man continued to frequent the restaurant during my shifts. He would stare at me intensely and make derogatory comments. I informed my manager about the situation, and they took it seriously, but the man would always leave before the authorities could arrive. The stalking escalated when the man started showing up at other places I frequented, such as my apartment complex and the nearby grocery store. He would follow me from a distance, and I could feel his eyes on me wherever I went. I became increasingly paranoid and fearful, constantly looking over my shoulder and feeling anxious even in familiar surroundings. One day, I received a note slipped under my apartment door, and it was from the man. It was filled with disturbing and threatening messages, expressing an obsessive interest in me. I was terrified and knew I had to take action. I reported the stalking to the police and obtained a restraining order against the man. My manager and co-workers at the restaurant were supportive and took extra measures to ensure my safety, such as providing additional security and changing my shift schedule. I also reached out to my friends and family for support during this challenging time. Despite these precautions, I still lived in constant fear and had to be vigilant at all times. I installed security cameras in and around my apartment, and I always had my phone ready to call for help. I tried to carry on with my daily life, but the stalking had taken a toll on my mental and emotional well-being. After weeks of tension and anxiety, the man was finally apprehended by the police when he violated the restraining order. He was charged with stalking and harassment, and I felt a sense of relief knowing that he was no longer a threat to me. It was a late-night shift at one of the most prestigious hospitals in the city, where I had been working as a nurse for over a decade. As I went about my usual rounds, checking on patients and administering medications, I noticed a series of strange occurrences that caught my attention. It started with minor discrepancies in the inventory records of medical supplies. At first, I brushed it off as a simple oversight, but as the discrepancies continued to accumulate, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. My curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to dig deeper into the mystery. I spent countless nights poring over the hospital's records and cross-referencing them with the supply orders. The more I dug, the more irregularities I discovered. It became apparent that there was a potential medical scandal brewing right under our noses. As I delved deeper into the investigation, I began to notice subtle signs that I was being watched. I would catch glimpses of shadowy figures lurking in the hallways, and I received anonymous messages warning me to stop digging into the matter. My car was tampered with, and I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder, feeling a sense of unease and paranoia. Despite the stalking and threats, I couldn't let go of the nagging feeling that there was something darker and more sinister at play. With each new piece of evidence I uncovered, the mystery deepened. I discovered unusual transactions involving the purchase and sale of medical supplies, with money changing hands in untraceable ways. It became clear that there was a well-organized operation involving multiple individuals within the hospital. As the stakes grew higher, I realized that I couldn't handle the situation alone. I decided to report the incident to the hospital's ethics and compliance department, presenting them with the evidence I had gathered. They took my report seriously and launched a thorough investigation, involving law enforcement to ensure my safety. The investigation was long and challenging. I faced obstacles and resistance from unexpected sources, as it became evident that the scandal involved high-ranking hospital officials and influential individuals. I received threats and intimidation tactics, including attempts to discredit my findings and tarnish my reputation. Despite the challenges, I persevered, with the unwavering support of the Ethics and Compliance Department. We uncovered a complex web of deceit, revealing that certain hospital staff had been engaging in illegal activities, including the theft and sale of medical supplies on the black market. The scale of the scandal was shocking, involving millions of dollars and compromising patient care. As the investigation gained traction, the perpetrators grew desperate, and the stalking and threats intensified. I was constantly on edge, never knowing who I could trust. The situation took a toll on my physical and emotional well-being, but I remained steadfast in my pursuit of truth and justice. With the combined efforts of the Ethics and Compliance Department, law enforcement, and myself, the truth slowly came to light. The culprits behind the medical scandal were identified and brought to justice. Several high-ranking hospital officials, including the hospital's chief financial officer and chief operating officer, were implicated in the illegal activities. It was revealed that they had been siphoning off medical supplies from the hospital's inventory and selling them on the black market for personal gain. The scandal had been going on for years, and the profits gained from the illegal activities were staggering. The perpetrators had gone to great lengths to cover their tracks, including manipulating records and intimidating anyone who tried to raise suspicions. However, with the meticulous investigation and evidence gathered, the truth could no longer be denied. The media caught wind of the scandal, and it became a high-profile case that garnered widespread attention. The hospital's reputation was tarnished, and patients and the public were shocked by the betrayal of trust. Many patients who had received compromised care due to the shortage of medical supplies during the scandal came forward, and the hospital had to make amends and implement stricter security measures to prevent such incidents from happening in the future. As the investigation concluded, I was hailed as a whistleblower and received recognition for my courage and determination in uncovering the truth. However, the aftermath of the ordeal took a toll on me. I struggled with anxiety and fear, constantly looking over my shoulder and feeling paranoid that the perpetrators might seek revenge. As a software engineer, I often found myself working late into the night at my office, buried in lines of code, debugging and fixing issues. One particular night, I was the last one in the office, and as I was intensely focused on my work, I barely noticed the time ticking away. The office was eerily quiet, and the only sound I could hear was the humming of the computers and the occasional distant rumble of a passing vehicle outside. Feeling thirsty, I decided to take a short break and went to the pantry to get a drink. As I reached for a can of soda, I noticed something peculiar out of the corner of my eye. A shadowy figure darted past the window in the hallway, disappearing into the darkness. My heart skipped a beat, and I quickly rushed to the window to get a better look, but there was no one there. Brushing it off as my imagination playing tricks on me, I returned to my desk and resumed my work. However, my curiosity got the better of me, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. I decided to investigate and started checking the security camera footage from the office. To my shock, I discovered that the cameras had captured the same figure I saw earlier. The footage showed a person dressed in all black, wearing a hoodie and a mask, sneaking around the office, avoiding the camera's field of view. My mind raced with questions. Who was this person? What were they doing in the office at this time of night? And why were they trying to remain hidden? I knew I had to find out more, so I decided to continue monitoring the security camera feeds. As the night progressed, I saw the mysterious figure moving stealthily through the office, seemingly searching for something. They seemed to know the layout of the office well, avoiding areas with security cameras and bypassing locked doors with ease. My adrenaline kicked in, and I decided to confront the intruder. I grabbed a flashlight and cautiously made my way through the office, following the figure's trail. The tension in the air was palpable, and my heart pounded in my chest as I moved closer to the figure. As I turned a corner, I saw the figure standing near the server room, fiddling with the door. I approached them cautiously, shining my flashlight on them. The figure turned towards me, and I was taken aback to see that it was a familiar face, one of my coworkers, Mark, who worked in the IT department. Mark looked startled to see me and stammered, trying to come up with an explanation for his presence in the office at such an odd hour. He claimed he was working on a project that required him to access the servers, but his story didn't add up. I could sense that he was hiding something. As I pressed him for answers, Mark's demeanor changed. He became aggressive and tried to push past me to escape. But I stood my ground and refused to let him go. In the scuffle that followed, Mark dropped a USB drive, which I quickly grabbed. He managed to break free and fled the office, leaving me standing there, clutching the USB drive tightly. I was determined to find out what Mark was up to, so I plugged the USB drive into my computer and discovered a hidden folder with files containing sensitive company information. It seemed like Mark was stealing confidential data from the company's servers, and his actions were a clear breach of trust. I immediately reported the incident to the authorities and provided them with the evidence I had gathered. It turned out that Mark was planning to sell the stolen data to a competitor for personal gain. He was arrested and charged with corporate espionage. As the investigation unfolded, it was revealed that Mark had been involved in a larger conspiracy to steal sensitive information from the company for financial gain. It appeared that he had accomplices within the organization who were also involved in the theft. The case became a high-profile corporate espionage investigation, with the authorities delving deeper into the motives and actions of those involved. As the investigation progressed, I found myself becoming more and more entangled in the mystery. I received anonymous threats, warning me to stay quiet and not to interfere with the case. My colleagues became distant and suspicious, and I started noticing subtle changes in the office environment, as if someone was watching my every move. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I dug deeper into the files on the USB drive and discovered encrypted messages that pointed towards a possible insider collaboration within the company. I also uncovered clues that led me to suspect that the conspiracy ran deeper than I had initially thought, involving higher-ups in the company's hierarchy. With each new piece of evidence I uncovered, I became more convinced that there was a larger web of deception and betrayal at play. However, I soon realized that I was being followed and that my life could be in danger. The situation became increasingly perilous, and I knew I had to be cautious in my pursuit of the truth. I sought help from a trusted colleague, who happened to be a security expert. Together, we devised a plan to gather more evidence while protecting my safety. We set up covert surveillance in the office, monitoring activities and collecting data. It was a nerve-wracking and intense process, with constant close calls and moments of tension. As we continued our investigation, we uncovered a complex web of deceit, involving several employees who were colluding to steal sensitive data from the company and sell it to competitors. We also discovered that Mark was just a pawn in the larger scheme, manipulated by those higher up in the company's hierarchy. The motives ranged from financial gain to personal vendettas and corporate sabotage. Armed with the evidence we had gathered, we approached the authorities, who conducted a thorough investigation and made several arrests. The entire conspiracy was unraveled, and the guilty parties were brought to justice. The company implemented stronger security measures and protocols to prevent future breaches, and the incident sent shockwaves through the corporate world. Thanks for watching, and be sure to give the video a like and leave a comment on your thoughts of the story. Also, let us know what kind of story you would like to hear next, or if you have a story you would like to share. We would love to hear from you, so please leave us a comment or email us.